The history of the Israel-Palestine conflict spans thousands of years, involving political, religious, and prolonged military changes. Let's delve deeper into this intricate narrative, uncovering how these factors interconnect and shape the enduringly challenging situation. The story begins in ancient times when Canaan became the focal point for the three forefathers of the Jewish people: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. According to Jewish belief, God promised Canaan, later known as Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza to them. In the 17th century BCE, they settled in this region. The early history involves conquests and shifts in territorial control by various empires, including the Roman Empire. In the 7th century, after the Muslim conquest, the Dome of the Rock above the ruins of the Second Temple in Jerusalem became a significant symbol for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. During the medieval period, major empires like the Byzantine and Persian alternately ruled the area. However, in the 7th century, the Arab conquest spread Islam, and the creation of the Third Holy City, Jerusalem, formed a strong religious bond among the three major monotheistic religions. In the Middle Ages, a series of crusades by European Christians aimed to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslims. Despite occasional successes in regaining territory, Jerusalem ultimately returned to Muslim control. In the 16th century, the Ottoman Empire took over, bringing relative peace for centuries. Meanwhile, the Jewish population in the Land of Israel increased but remained a minority. In the 19th century, the Zionist movement, led by Theodor Herzl, aimed to establish a Jewish national state in the Land of Israel. In the early 20th century, thousands of Jews moved to the region, still part of the Ottoman Empire. World War I brought dramatic changes. After the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, Britain and France assumed control. In 1917, the Balfour Declaration expressed Britain's intent to establish a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. After World War I, the League of Nations mandated Britain to administer Palestine. In 1947, the UN proposed dividing the region into two states, one for Jews and one for Arabs, with Jerusalem as an international city. While the Jewish side accepted, the Arab side rejected the plan. In 1948, following the declaration of Israel's independence, neighboring Arab countries invaded. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War ended with Israel gaining control of more territory than outlined by the UN, and hundreds of thousands of Palestinians became refugees. In 1967, tensions peaked with the Six-Day War. Israel captured East Jerusalem, the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Golan Heights, and Sinai. Despite peace efforts like the 1978 Camp David Accords, crucial issues, including the status of Jerusalem and Palestinian refugees, remained unresolved. In 1987, the First Intifada erupted in response to Israeli occupation and dissatisfaction. In 1993, the Oslo Accords were signed between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization, outlining the path to mutual recognition and establishing the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and Gaza. While the Oslo Accords brought positive developments, they fell short of all goals. Jewish settlement construction in the West Bank continued to rise, and terrorism from both sides threatened regional stability. In 2000, the Second Intifada erupted, leading to violence and battles. Peace efforts like the UN's 2002 Palestinian Partition Plan failed to achieve significant results. In 2007, after internal conflicts with Fatah, Hamas seized power in Gaza. Israel imposed a tight blockade in response to attacks, resulting in bloody conflicts between Hamas and Fatah, as well as a series of clashes in Gaza, including Operation Pillar of Defense, 2012, and Operation Protective Edge, 2014. In 2018, the United States moved its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, recognizing the city as Israel's official capital. 2021 witnessed a new escalation in the Israel-Palestine conflict. Spanning several months, tensions centered on the eviction of Palestinian homes by Israel in East Jerusalem. This triggered demonstrations, clashes, escalating into a series of rocket attacks from Gaza and Israeli military responses. A series of attacks and battles resulted in significant losses on both sides, with casualties and infrastructure damage. International mediation by Egypt, Qatar, and the UN finally led to a ceasefire in May 2021. Key unresolved issues include Jewish settlements in the West Bank, the status of Jerusalem, and the rights of Palestinian refugees. Settlements continue to be built in areas considered illegal by international law, posing a major obstacle to the peace process. The status of Jerusalem, a holy city for three major religions, remains a conflict source. Disagreements on how to divide or manage the city complicate negotiations. The rights of Palestinian refugees, exacerbated by the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, remain a complex and sensitive issue. Tens of thousands continue to live in refugee camps, and their right to return home remains a contentious point. The formation of Hamas and internal conflicts with Fatah complicates internal Palestinian politics. Despite reconciliation efforts, a lasting agreement remains elusive. The Israel-Palestine conflict has widespread regional and international implications. Middle Eastern countries and the world engage in mediation efforts, expressing support or condemnation for actions taken by the conflicting parties. Peace efforts involve numerous international players and humanitarian organizations. Major countries, such as the United States, Russia, and the European Union, engage in mediation and support peace initiatives. Organizations like the UN and the Arab League play key roles in addressing the conflict. Issues of Palestinian refugees and Jewish settlement construction in the West Bank pose major constraints. How to address the rights of Palestinian refugees and ensure the sustainability of settlement solutions becomes a crucial test for peace efforts. Terrorist activities from certain groups, especially Hamas, and Israel's strong responses create a complex security environment. Countering terrorism and protecting civilians are integral parts of achieving sustainable peace. Despite numerous peace efforts, reaching a fair and sustainable agreement remains challenging. New initiatives, including the deal of the century proposed by the United States in 2020, faced criticism and disagreement from the Palestinian side. The future of the Israel-Palestine conflict is highly uncertain. While there have been policy changes and regional dynamics, achieving a fair and sustainable peace remains a challenging goal. Reconciliation between Hamas and Fatah is key to forming a united Palestinian front, but ideological differences and internal interests remain obstacles. The role of civil society is becoming increasingly important in shaping the future direction of this conflict. Peace movements from both Israeli and Palestinian sides advocate for a fair and inclusive solution. This includes groups like Combatants for Peace, Breaking the Silence, and B'Tselem working for transparency and justice. Achieving lasting peace in this conflict is a significant challenge. While several peace efforts have been proposed and implemented, fundamental disputes and disagreements still complicate the process. The Israel-Palestine conflict involves not only disputes over physical territory, but also encompasses identity, religion, and human rights. Despite thousands of years passing, finding a fair and sustainable solution remains a global priority. The future of this conflict is highly uncertain, given the multitude of factors and parties involved. International leaders, humanitarian organizations, and civil society play crucial roles in creating an environment supportive of dialogue and peaceful resolution. While awaiting further developments, the world continues to monitor the conflict that affects millions in the region. The history of the Israel-Palestine conflict is filled with tragedy, tension, and struggle. While the challenges are incredibly complex, the desire for peace and justice remains alive in the hearts of many in the region and around the world. Anticipating a better future involves collaborative efforts from all involved parties. Justice, dialogue, and respect for human rights must be the foundation for building a robust and sustainable peace in the Holy Land. Although the road to peace may be long and arduous, the hope for a final resolution to this conflict remains a worthwhile goal for all parties involved. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming content. Share your experiences or thoughts in the comment section, and see you in the next video. Stay awesome, and thanks for the incredible support.